Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker could find himself in a confrontation with the Trump administration involving immigration, and Iowa's new lieutenant governor brings her connection to the Quad Cities area to those executive offices in Des Moines. We'll get into that this morning with former Rock Island County Republican Party Chair Drew Milke and Democratic political consultant Dave Heller. Welcome both of you back to the program. Let's start with Iowa and Chris Cournoyer's ascension from state senator to lieutenant governor. Governor Kim Reynolds made her choice public 2 weeks ago. Iowa is now the third state in the country with women holding the top two jobs. Arkansas and Massachusetts the other two. First of all, how significant is Chris Cournoyer's appointment to lieutenant governor? To what extent do you think this could benefit the Quad Cities area? Dave Heller?
I hope it benefits the Quad Cities. That would be wonderful. There's certainly, precedent for having a Quad City in state government who has helped our community. When the building fell down on 3rd Street, Robbie Smith was there and went to the governor in the executive council meeting right after the building collapsed and got $250,000 for our community. So having somebody who knows our community can make a difference. Whether she will be able to do that or will have the desire to do that, I don't know. I will tell you, I was surprised by the choice that Governor Reynolds would have picked somebody who chaired a committee for Nikki Haley, that she would have picked somebody who has mused publicly about enjoying drag queens and who has been the subject of an ethics complaint with our Scott County Sheriff. That doesn't seem like somebody that has gone through the vetting process really closely and thoroughly. So I was surprised, but I hope she will help our community.
Drew Milke, what's your take? What do you think of her ascension, and can it be beneficial to the Quad Cities area?
She has proven to be a strong advocate for Iowa communities. So in that regard, I think being from Eastern Iowa and the Metro Quad Cities is going to be a plus. She is aware of the issues, and she's been part of our community. And mentioning I didn't know anything about drag queens, but I do like her support of banning conversion therapy, and which has really been studied, that leads to in the gay community increase in suicide rates. So I don't know about the other part of it, but I do like her openness and taking a stand on something that's looking out for people in as far as teenage suicide rates, and something that we need to look at much stronger. So I like her boldness and taking a stand on something that's important. Maybe if it's not popular, I don't know, but it should be popular because it's looking out for the youth in our community.
Are you
she'll be an advisor.
With the Republican sheriff of Scott County filing an ethics complaint against her?
See, and I'm not aware of that.
It was in the front page of the Quad City Times.
Yeah, being from Illinois, I guess because I'm only reading the Illinois paper, but I wasn't aware of that. But like I said, I think she's going to be a good advisor for the governor and representative advocate for the Quad Cities.
Let's move on to the next topic, because we're now basically 3 weeks away from the inauguration of Donald Trump as the next president of the United States. The president-elect made it clear he intends to launch a massive deportation effort as soon as possible after taking office. That could lead to a confrontation with Illinois, and specifically Governor J.B. Pritzker. Trump already will make Tom Homan responsible for controlling the border, a job people call the border czar. Illinois has been friendly to migrants. Chicago is a sanctuary city. Homan says he will be in Chicago on the first day of the next administration, and has stated publicly that the governor and Chicago's mayor must cooperate or risk the consequences. Pritzker has said he has no problem deporting violent criminals, but doesn't go beyond that. Trump says he's willing to bring in the National Guard from other states to do the job. I guess, how serious do you think this conflict could get? Drew Milke, you're the Illinoisan here.
Well, first of all, the governor needs to follow the law. I think we should agree on that. But the governor should want to work with the federal government regardless of politics. President Trump is taking a softer stance on Dreamers, and I totally support that. Children that have been here, part of our citizenry per se, in our community, I should say. Yes, the governor has looking at violent criminals. He agrees that they should be sent back. A report from ICE recently stated that 660,000 criminal foreign nationals are identified to be deported, so I certainly hope the governor supports that. But undocumented immigrants have cost Illinois State $2.75 billion in healthcare costs so far. $620 million scheduled, anticipated for fiscal year 25. So there are costs to this. I hope the governor is realizing that nothing is free, and I think the real problem here with the National Guard is it going to be legal? Is that something, and he's going to probably say it's not, and that's where the conflict will be. But ultimately, this is an issue that has blossomed in the last 10 years, especially under the last, the current Biden administration.
Dave Heller, do you see this as idle threats or potential for a real confrontation?
Listen, first of all, Governor Pritzker has said anybody who is here illegally and has committed a crime ought to be deported, right? So let's at least acknowledge that he is on the right side of that issue. I just think it's interesting how when there is an issue, almost any other issue, Jim, the Republicans, when it comes to abortion, Trump says, oh, we'll leave it to the states. When it comes to minimum wage, whatever the states do takes priority. When it comes to the Department of Education, Trump wants to abolish it because he says education should be best done by the states. But somehow on this one issue, when there's a conflict between what the federal government wants and what the state law is, the federal government in the person of Tom Homan says, we don't really care what the state law is. We're just going to run roughshod over it. And that doesn't seem right either.
Dave Heller, Drew Milkey, stand by. Still to come, elevating Elon. The man behind Tesla and SpaceX has the ear of the next president. What to make of the influence he could have in the Trump administration? For the record.